What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'll be doing a tier list on free enforcers for the Grand Mafia. And as you can see on my screen, there are all the heroes that are for free except for I think Jade for this one, and I will explain why I chose some of these enforcers to be the respective tiers S, A, B, C and D. Let's just change the color so it will look more reflective of its grade. No one will put S as a red color. Red is always deemed as a negative or a very bad tier. Alright, and for our first enforcer we have Captain. So let me just check over here for Captain. I'm going to check out the stats. It has at Grand tier, basically the highest tier, you would have arms production 150% higher, have biker defense 50% and biker HP 50%. Okay, so for Captain, okay, in general you don't want to have any like production skills because it is not as effective. How you want to get your resources in late game is by robbery or like stealing, basically just stealing other people's resources as well. And basically your turf, like your smelters, your warehouse, all these, even though it's at max level 25, it doesn't give you resources as quickly as compared to the resources needed for your respective research. So all these resource buildings are very good late game, which is why only 2 out of 3 of those skills is good, which I will rate it as a D, and I'll let you know why it is a D later on in game as well. Okay, so next up we have this T-Rock, and let's take a look at T-Rock. Is bruisers, and again we can see diamond production 150%. Diamond is a bit better because it is a high sought after resource. And next we have a trap defense 75% at grand level, and bruisers attack 30%. And for this T-Rock, I would rate it as D again, because what you want to look for in an enforcer are the crew, attack, defense, HP. That is the most valued one, followed by the respective troops, which are the bruisers, bikers and hitmen. For mortar car, is not worth it. Nobody use cars in battle, or almost nobody. So because this has only one usefulness, for traps it's not as, walls aren't as useful because people late game they are very strong attack and they can just bring down the walls with a raid. So to me, the traps attack or defense doesn't really, or even the wall, increasing the wall defense isn't as helpful as compared to increasing your army strength. So for T-Rock, it will be a D tier as well. Next up we have the Belladonna, and same thing, metal production 150%, trap attack 30%, and hitman attack 30%. So same theory, you'll be in the D tier as well. And next up we have El Cazador, and it is the same thing. So far of these 4 heroes, I left it at the plain tier, the lowest tier. Yep, so this is arms 150%, traps assembling speed, which is even more useless, 40%, and bruiser attack 30%. D tier as well. Okay, next up we have Vinny, and we have a construction speed of 20% for grand, trap attack 30%, and biker defense 50%. And this is a bit interesting because you see a construction. However, construction again is not very valuable late game. I have all my buildings up at, almost all my buildings up at level 25, and what you need late game is the research or investment speed. Even though it might be useful early game, but later on I'll let you know there's a hero that is more worth upgrading than Vinny. So Vinny is at the D tier as well. Okay, for next up we have the Doxy, and Doxy gives 150% metal production, mortar car defense 75%, and mortar car attack 50%. And for the Doxy is a different case. I'll put it as tier C, even though the skills are very irrelevant. The reason why this is so is that Doxy is used in some of the kingpins, which can help you deal more damage and get those take down those kingpins, so they are a bit more useful in gaining rewards from the kingpins, which is why it is at tier C, even though the enforcer skill is useless. Alright, next up we have, I think it is Mike. Yes, it is Mike. Bruiser 50% at Grand, cash production 235%, and bruiser attack 30%. So for Mike, it's between a tier C and D, but I'll put it as a tier C, and you can see a trend going on from D to C. And the reason why it is a C is because there are two buffs that is dealing with the army, basically the bruisers, which is why it automatically go up to tier C. Next up we have the SAR, tier C again, because same reasoning as Doxy, so I wouldn't elaborate any further. Next up we have El Catador, and for this we have the wall defense at 60%, followed by bruiser defense 50%, and bruiser attack 30%. For El Catador, I would rate it as A tier, because of wall defense can be quite helpful, but mainly is because of its two supporting skills, which is the bruiser defense and attack. And attack is usually like seen as a better alternative as compared to defense and HP, which is why it's ranked a bit higher. And free heroes, there is no like 3 buffs that targets the army, which is like example bruiser, attack, defense, and HP at one enforcer. Usually these enforcers are you have to pay some money to get them. Alright, next up we have Pauli. So Pauli, Hitman 50% at Grand level, Hitman defense 50%, and we have the trap attack at 30%. So for Pauli, because it does not really target the Hitman attack, I would put it as a B tier, mainly because it has no Hitman attack. But it is a good hero if you play pure Hitman. Just pick all the heroes that has Hitman buffs and just play in the army and send all Hitmans together. Okay, next up we have the White Dwarf, and for this is a bit of a different case. It's only events where you will receive this hero, and it is very difficult to get to the Grand level. I'm not even at the Grand level, I'm at the Elite level for this. But for Grand level is at 10% for construction speed, investment speed is 10%, and also training speed 10%. And for White Dwarf, I'll put it as a tier, A tier. The reason why is because its stats is like divided by 2 as compared to the rest. As compared to the Vini, which has construction speed 20% at Grand level, White Dwarf is like a buttered down version, and the amount of fragments to upgrade the enforcer is the same, so I would give it an A tier, even though relatively good stats. Okay, next up we have the Hellcat. For Hellcat we have training speed 20%, crew HP 25%, and crew attack 20%. For Hellcat, it is at the S tier because it's the only free hero that provides you with crew buffs, army crew buff based, which is why it is the S tier. Next up we have the Kitsune, and this is a similar argument with the Doxy and the SAR, so it's a tier C. Alright, next we have, we're going to skip Jade, we have Anonymous. For Anonymous, it is a traps HP 75%, traps attack 30%, and we have crew attack 20%. And for Anonymous, it is an S tier card because mainly of the crew attack. And the free heroes, there's only I think 2 heroes that no, 3 heroes including Hellcat that gives crew related buffs, even though it's only 1 out of the 3. but because it's so rare and it's a very good buff, it's immediately in an S tier. Alright, next we have Tony. Ward 60%, biker defense 50%, and biker attack 30%. And because it is quite heavy on bikers and giving biker attack and also war defense. Oh yeah, it is very similar to El Catador, so it is an A tier hero. Next up, we have the Big Shot. Traps defense 75%, Hitman 50%, and Hitman attack 30%. So same argument as Tony, it'll be an A tier. Okay, next up we have Onyo. In construction, speed 20%, bruises defense 50%, and restorable energy limit for kingpins 3000. And for Onyo, it will be an A tier because it is the hero you upgrade for construction speed, and together with the max kingpin energy, it also gives you some bruiser defense. So overall, this is a very good early hero game, so you can upgrade this early game. Okay, next up we have CJ. Similar argument with Tony and the Big Shot, because its buffs are very similar. It is an A tier. Alright, next up we have Deathlock. Very similar skills to CJ, so A tier again, no explanation required. Okay, next up we have Lupo. Lupo is very similar to White Dwarf, where you have it's an event based and you have to attack those intel houses to get these enforcers fragments. And for this enforcer, it gives double crit 20% at Grand and 3000 restorable energy, followed by Kingpin challenge damage plus 20%. And because this is the only free hero where it gives relatively good Kingpin buffs, it is an S tier. Next up we have Booba, and it's a little bit of an argument that I remember saying that the production skill is not very good. This hero gives 150% cargo production, followed by biker HP 50%, but it gives a 20% crew attack. So because of its crew attack, it is an S tier card. Okay, we have Sparrow. Same argument as previously, the A tiers, Deathlock, CJ, Tony, these various heroes, it is an A tier card. Alright, we have our last free hero, which is Neo. And for Neo, it is, if I could give a grade, it would be an S plus or SS grade, because it gives the only free hero to give full investment speed bonus 25% at grand level, 3000 restorable for Kingpin, and also energy recovery speed 10% for Kingpin, which is very helpful. It restores energy quickly and you can gain more Kingpin crates, which can give you additional like speed ups or really good equipment items. So it is an S tier. And so this is it. This is the tier list for free heroes, and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with some of the heroes or the enforcers where I placed them. Alright, I'll see you guys next time for more Grand Mafia videos.